welcome to On Your Uniqueness series. We are now in part 6, believe it or not. And in this series, we'll be covering building resilience, focusing on mental health and well-being. Before I progress on, my name is Chiko. And this is Mayda. If you can't see her, she'll pop in back and forth as we'll be talking further about exploring how you build resilience. Okay, so just in terms of resilience, I'll start off with a question. Okay, and the question goes something like this. How can you build personal and professional resilience, especially during the current challenging times? Okay, in reference to the pandemic, because it's been a global impact in your career or as part of your entrepreneurship venture. Okay, this includes being able to maintain your overall well-being. So that's what we'll be exploring. And this question is just to give you some food for thought to really explore how you can become an architect of your own faith, or on your fate rather than faith. So we'll head on into the discussion part. And the discussion basically is just that life does happen. It's more about how you embrace it, how you equip yourself. And just what I've mentioned as well is that how you become an architect in terms of how you respond to external factors that may impact you in your professional setting. I'm going to hand over to Mayda, and Mayda is going to start off with, we're going to give you examples of what resilience is not and what it is. Over to you, Mayda.
Thank you, Chiko. So one of the reasons why Chiko and I wanted to start by explaining or giving you our opinion what resilience is not was mainly because these are coping mechanisms that sometimes we use that could be resilience, but they are not the best way to use our resourcefulness and our energy. And in the long run, they might be quite harmful for our well-being and even for our physical health. And Chiko and I, unfortunately, we have been there so many times. And we are here to tell you don't do that, or only do it for a short time if there is no other solution. But the good thing is that throughout this conversation, we're going to give you a lot of tools and tips. So what is resilience is not? Resilience is not denial. Resilience is not ignoring the emotions. Resilience is not bottling them up. These strategies, because there are strategies, can work a bit. We don't need to get angry in the workplace. We don't need to start crying in the workplace. Sometimes it doesn't help. But if we continue bottling up, these emotions will show up in one way or another. And resilience is not either blaming ourselves or blaming others, because anytime we go into internalizing emotions or externalizing our part of the responsibility, then we are giving away our power and the key learning experiences. Because from these key learning experiences, we will learn how to build and to build on the resilience that we are acquiring. So resilience is almost like this snowballing positive cycle where we learn from our past, we learn the lessons, and we can use them. And the next time we are in this situation where we need to, empower ourselves, and sometimes life is happening and we might not know where to start. So our experience is one of the starting points. But Chiko, from your side, where do you feel resilience is?
I think for me, as you were talking along, I was just thinking of the first thing I connected with. It's a soul healing journey. And the word that came to mind is also hopono hopono. I believe it's a Hawaiian saying. Is that correct? Yes?
I'm not Hawaiian, but I'm guessing.
Yes. So the statement is basically what Mayda mentioned, the blaming factor. It's about letting go. So letting go of any past hurts, any past pain, as part of your like your soul healing journey, you know, coming into like acceptance. And that's what will help you in terms of personal growth. So the blaming part, or hopono also goes further into detail about forgiveness. So if somebody has hurt you, you are forgiving, even if you're not talking to the person, but you're curing yourself in order to let go of this burden, so that it opens up new opportunities for you to become aware of. Because the more we hold on to things which, how can I express this? I think emotions which hurt us, we can easily become blinded by what other opportunities there are out there. So that's what comes to mind for me for building resilience. What about you, Mayda?
I have several words as well. I fully agree that there is a part of letting go and surrender to the present moment, but also being into this part where we self-respect ourselves, we self-love, and we self-care. And as you said, forgiving ourselves is really one of the key parts. And it's actually what we said we will talk about tools. Let's bring that up as being a key tool is not beating ourselves up, understanding we're not perfect, understanding that it's because of these challenges that are internal and external that we are who we are today. And that takes me to two other places where I think resilience is it's grit and drive. And we will talk a bit later, or maybe right now, actually. Why don't we do that? Talk about how we can get more driven when life happens, when we have been through the circle of the cycle of trying to make sense of it, and things are not working out. How can we get ourselves up again and start walking again? And from your side, Chiko, where do you feel we can find this inner drive in a way?
Think inner drive for me, just in terms of being an entrepreneur, creative entrepreneur, it's about staying current. Okay, being informed about changing times, because what that does is that you don't feel like you're being hit by something unexpected. So you're accepting that by being through innovative mindset, you're also accepting that change is inevitable. So is existential crisis. It's going to happen repetitively, but what you're doing is you're making yourself resourceful by building the mechanisms which enable you to feel empowered to look for solutions rather than problems. It's not necessarily saying that problems don't exist. It's when you've been hit by something, it's about how you then recognize that it's a pain, it's annoying, it's frustrating, but then once you've accepted that's what it is, how do you then push through beyond that pain and then start to become resourceful? So that's where the innovative outlook comes in. And I also give you like just an example before I moved on from like my workplace, or my career rather than workplace. I went through transition periods, and Mayda will probably share her experience as well, where I was informed about 5 times that we were going to go through restructures, or I was going to lose my job. I'd have to reapply for like a new position or compete for the same position. It was an anxiety-ridden cyclical process where we settled and then change happened as well. So through those storms, it's either you get caught up in the political shifts that's happening within the organization, or you accept that that's the change that's likely to happen. And within that, you have control. The control is that probably the change, in most cases, it's going to present you with new opportunities. Okay, it's going to give you that opportunity to then move out of the comfort zone to apply for something else you probably were dreaming about, but you got caught up in the norm or being comfortable. Okay, so my experience was always that when I got the first hit, I was like, ouch, this is painful. But then the repetitive hits, I became accustomed to that this was the norm. And all it was doing was propelling me to operate in my best self and to look at other opportunities and not to only focus on that one specific role or that one organization. So, Mayda, can you relate to this experience?
Uh, uh, Gosh, yes. I'm going to go exactly and say exactly what you said, is that the first time it happens, it's ouch, it sucks, it's not fun. So we go almost like in these five stages of grief. Right? We go into, I don't want it, we go into denial, this is not happening, and then we go into the anger and what have you. But mostly I'm going to say, and to build on what you were saying, Chiko, is that for me it's, I feel down when I lose my sense and my sense of mission, when I lose my sense of purpose. And what always got me up was, why do I do what I do? And sometimes it could be something for survival, right? Sometimes it could be that we need the salary. We all need the salary. We all need an income. But sometimes it's that. It's the fear of losing my job, or it's the fear of not having an income. But I think it's as you said, it's mostly as well, once you reconnect into your sense of mission, into your purpose, into your meaning, is going back into what makes me resourceful. And what makes us, all of us, most of us, resourceful is when we shift from blaming into owning. And how does that work? It's exactly as you said, is when we shift from seeing everything as an obstacle, going into, oh my goodness, why is this happening to me? What have I done to deserve this? The victim mentality in a way, which happens sometimes. But we can also shift that into, how is this an opportunity for me? How is this an opportunity for me to learn something new, so that whatever I'm learning is a new tool that will go into my resourcefulness toolbox that I can also call resilience if I want. So, as Chiko said, for some people, it is staying current, is going into the innovation. For me, a lot of it has always been as well having several plans ABC ready. In a way, like safety nets and escape escape tools as well, because that way my mind was put at rest and saying, okay, I can handle whatever is happening because I have choices. For me, being resilient is developing enough resources so that you can create choices for you, so you don't feel stuck. And to create these resources, you need to become a life learner. You need to learn as well new skills that you choose. Again, even if they have been imposed upon you, see them as an opportunity, and maybe as a signal that, hey, maybe there's something in there, a skill that I've never seen, and somebody is showing me that skill. Maybe it's worth looking into that. So, Chico, can we talk a bit about how to develop better resilience, or more optimal resilience?
Oh, sure, most definitely. So we're just going to share with you just key takeaways about how you can then start to build your own resilience and feel more empowered. And the first one that comes to mind for me before we continue on this path, I just also want to mention that as part of our series, we do provide additional guidance, which you can refer to, including questions to enable you to further develop in development, as well as to gain educational resources, entrepreneurship, and professional. So look for links every time we share our videos to help you throughout this series. So let's go into like how to develop resilience. And the first one that comes to mind is prioritizing your physical and mental health. Okay, so in terms of this one, to me, I think it's overall it's key. Without that, your health is basically your wealth. Because in the past I used to hang on to my job for dear life, thinking this is it. But what
Not a good
happened?
idea.
Not a good idea, definitely. I learned the hard way. The thing is, once you don't have your health, then the likelihood is that you're easily replaceable. Okay, so that's why it's important to prioritize your physical and mental health as a continuous process. And the way to do that for me, I'll give you an example. When I started off in my entrepreneurship journey, I knew that I needed to change my mindset from like an employee to an entrepreneurship mindset in order to embrace certain fears that I was limiting myself in, self-limiting beliefs, like I couldn't leave my job, or it'll be too scary, or I'd fail, etc. So many reasons that I gave myself for I am going to fail. Okay, so I embraced self-development, and part of that journey was, for instance, attending 21-day mindset challenges, because that was going to help me to embrace fear, to overcome those certain challenges. And then the other remit is, if you are in a career or even just your personal life, it's about getting additional support in areas you need growth in. And those areas, even the top made people, the millionaires or the CEOs, the directors, they usually are in a circle of influences, people who support them to continuously work on themselves. You know, business coaches, consultant. We've got a business coach here, Mayda, as an example, to help with growth. So I've done that, and Mayda has done that as well, in areas that we wanted to grow further in, to help us to push beyond the self-limiting beliefs. So it's about what is it? Not being fearful about asking for the additional support. Okay, so it's like, learn how to ask. It is not a weakness. It is not a sign of failure. It is a growth area. That's the best way that I can like describe it. Any other key tips, Maida?
Yes, definitely learn how to ask and receive support. I know some of the ladies who are looking here like, I don't have time, I have so much to do, and then somebody comes, can I help you? Well, I don't have time. No, please, receiving is as important as giving, especially for women. And this gets me to building on some of the points that you talked about, Chiko, is in the workplace in particular, learn the basics of self-care. And self-care is not grooming and bathing, it is, but self-care is also the art of setting healthy boundaries, especially at work, getting out of people pleasing, getting out of the need to always take on everybody's problems and everybody's complaints and what have you. Learn how to say no with kindness, and learn also how to get your priorities right. And for that, have goals. Even working moms should have career goals, because your career is part of who you are. And as Chiko said, it's part of your self-development, it's part of your personal development. Your career is the place where you're meeting people, where you're learning from others, where you're learning about yourself. This is where we spend most of our time. So definitely, this is a place to also explore in terms of developing resilience as well. Have goals, keep yourself accountable, develop a discipline and consistency that works with you as well and for you. And just before we leave this conversation, Chiko, I just want to say that we all made it so far in life. So we have it. We have the resilience. We have the resourcefulness. The question is why sometimes we get into this, I'm going to call that a form of self-sabotaging as well.
Mhm.
When we are not owning our power, we feel like, or we compare ourselves to others. So maybe this is also one of the key takeaways as well from me. But Chiko, last words from the
Yes,
wise.
you
This
said it, yeah, fairly well. It's basically what you focus on grows. So the more you focus on positive outlook, the likelihood is that the opportunities you're looking for, seeking, will come your way. You know, feed yourself the positive outlooking. It's not saying that problems don't happen. They do happen, impacts do happen. And also just to keep in mind that it's also about having fun, embracing your creativity outside of this seriousness. And that is what will also empower you to feel as though you're building your own resilience. Life is too short after all. Embrace each day as it comes. And that's how.
sorry.
No, go ahead. If you wanted to add
no,
anything.
I interrupted. Finish,
No?
please.
Yeah, no, that's all I want. That's what I wanted to say. Life is too short.
And thank you. And I wanted to add to that, because we talked about that, is transformation through pleasure. We don't always need to be in pain. We don't always need to be in suffering to learn. We can learn by having fun. We can learn by playing. We can learn by enjoying being ourselves. So as we are finishing, I want to thank you again, Chiko, for everything, for who you are, for your wisdom, for your resilience and your
Oh,
grit. And I want also to remind people, as you already did, is that there is an accompanying workbook. There's an email list and an accompanying workbook. This will make you part of our community of like-minded women, and we are here to help and support each other. And you will find the link at the bottom of this video. And with this, we will see you next week for the next chapter, chapter number 7 for our series, Own Your Uniqueness.
thank you, Mayda. I can't believe without actually saying thank you to you too. I'm enjoying this journey with us so far, even your insight. And no, I look forward to everybody joining us on the next series. Bye from us for now.